Welcome into our overtime segment here at SportsSource.tv. I'm joined by, way down there, Chuck Cavaleris, Mike Griffith, of course, SECCountry.com. You got Mark Pankratz, former Vol assistant basketball coach, played D1 basketball under Bruce Pearl at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And then Bob Hodge right here. Bob and Chuck, of course, longtime sports writers and media members here in the Knoxville market. And if you're not careful, they will just hug you. If you watched our show today. But
I'm thinking about hugging Mark.
There you go. And Mark would feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, really.
This segment always brought to you by our friends at Blue Smoke Cigar. And I always do that. You see, smart man would point right there because that's the monitor you're seeing. I'm looking over here at a monitor, so I go, it's right there. Blue Smoke Cigar and Smokin' Joe's. For years, I've told you about Smokin' Joe's. They're one of our earliest clients. They've been with us since we were very small, starting out. And they have a store down in Alcoa that's terrific. Walk-in humidor, really good selection, good prices. And then their latest venture is in West Knoxville, right there, South Peters Road, between South Peters Road and Rafferty's. It's called Blue Smoke Cigar. It's a lounge club. You can pay a membership fee. And what you do, you can go in there without the membership fee. You still get the TVs, chairs. Chairs are always important, but they're nice chairs. Walk-in humidor. If you're a member, though, you get even nicer chairs in the back. Leather chairs, more TVs, card tables. They got golf games, one of those things where you actually swing a golf ball and hit the wall and it tells you where it would go. Cool stuff. Blue Smoke Cigar. Get down there, check it out for yourself. If you enjoy a cigar, that is the place to go. All right. Tennessee's new chancellor ready to take the reins at UT, and once Beverly Davenport takes the reins, she's going to be deciding who the next athletic director is going to be, depending on what the search committee and search firm tell her in terms of who it should be. We'll see how involved she is in this process, or if she just goes, okay. Whoever that search firm finds, and they're looking for the bestest, most talented, most qualified people, the longest resumes possible. Across the United States. And once they come back with Philip Fulmer, what is Fulmer or David Blackburn or whoever, what are they going to rank as their top 2 or 3 biggest issues? The next athletic director, whoever it is, what are the biggest issues they will inherit right off the bat that they've got to worry about in 2017, in 2018?
Football, donations, and Title IX. I would rank them like that because, I mean, how hot does the seat get for Butch Jones? And that could be the toughest call right off the bat. And then keeping the donations and the fan base and all that you've got going. And then you cannot go down this Title IX road again. That's my list.
Okay, football, donations, Title IX. Anyone have anything different? I mean, I would go, football is going to be up there, and we'll dive into that more in a second. But is Lady Vols not on there? Baseball not on there?
Well, see, I think the first big issue, I don't think it's the biggest issue just because of where baseball's place is in the hierarchy of UT, but I think their first big issue is going to be baseball if Dave Serrano doesn't have a good season this year, because you're going to be hired whenever, March, April, May, and that is going to be on your plate right from the start. And if Tennessee barely gets into the SEC tournament, do you keep him again? Or do you go ahead and start making changes? So I don't think baseball is the biggest. I think that will be the firstest.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Lady Vols. This whole thing with Lady Vols only for women's basketball and not the other female.
Oh, you're talking name. I'm talking about Holly, but okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the name. I mean, I think this is what a large majority of the people in the Tennessee fan base want to see fixed, that Dave Hart did wrong, that Jimmy Cheek did wrong. And oh, by the way, Jimmy Cheek's being honored these days. I don't know if you saw that. That was pretty interesting, I thought. But I thought that the whole Lady Vol name thing, I think that is something, it's the easiest fix you can make. It's the first thing you do.
Is it possible Jimmy Cheek did anything positive that we just don't cover in the sports shows? I think Jimmy Cheek's been crucified mercilessly in this town. And there's a lot of things that you do at a university that don't involve the football program or the basketball.
I'll give you an example.
I'm not defending him.
No.
I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
I'll give you an example. They wanted Tennessee to be a top 25 research institution. It's 48th after 5 years, and how many Jimmy Cheek raises later? If that were Butch Jones that didn't get the Tennessee football program back in the top 25.
See, that's fair. Attack him for that.
Do you see my point?
The Sports Source, we attack you from new angles. That's what we do here. Anyway. Lady Vol's name. I would suggest whoever takes the job,
Day one.
That's my executive. I come in like Trump. It's executive order day. We're changing it back. On. Done. And you become a hero immediately. Immediately. Everybody throws up their hands and sings hosannas, and you get the rose petal treatment wherever you walk in town, right in front of you. So to
For a
me,
week.
Yeah, for a week till you make another decision.
Beverly Davenport do that though. I mean, it is interesting. She is the highest paid chancellor ever. She's a female. She brings that presence to the office. Will that be her first
If
move?
she's smart, she will do it hand in hand with the new athletic director.
Yeah.
Let them both have some of that bask in the glow, if you will, of pulling off. Mark, your thoughts on?
End of the day, it's all about football. I think the biggest issue or biggest question mark, especially if it's Fulmer, what is his approach to this in Butch Jones? Does he say, hey, I'm a football guy, I know more, and I don't think Butch can get it done? Does he think Butch is a really good coach, like many people do, with some football sense, and allow him to keep moving forward? Besides that, if it's not football, I think if we've got a divided committee of this hiring group of donors, of some are saying Fulmer, some are saying Blackburn, then I think that's a bigger issue that he's got, that the AD, once he gets hired, he's got to build relationships with all the right people. He's got to build a great relationship with the chancellor, because that's really his boss. And if you want to smooth all this over and get one Tennessee, I think you've got to get everybody pulling the rope the same direction.
And see, if you go to the Lady Vols thing first, that helps build those relationships, because I think that is such a slam dunk. But then you're going to be firing a baseball coach potentially if he doesn't turn things around a little bit. And so I think it's going to be a pretty tumultuous job right from the very get-go, regardless of who it is. I mean, it's not a sit back and wait to the end of football season, let's see where things are.
Holly Warlick's safe. Holly Warlick's not going to be fired, but I'm going to put Holly Warlick's job right there too, because as soon as this person takes over, they're going to be wrapping up a basketball season where either they're going to make a nice tournament run, or on top of a season where you weren't ranked and the fans are already mad.
Yes.
You get mad fans. I'm not saying I would fire. I think she was the hand-picked successor. I think that anybody who took that job was going to suffer right off the start. I think she's got a great recruiting class coming in next.
Exactly.
And I think that people forget that it wasn't exactly firing on all cylinders the last 4 years for Pat Summitt. They forget that. No Final Fours in there for Summitt either. But you got a lot of people, Lady Vols fans, who want to change there. So whoever comes in is going to have to say right off the bat, we're not making a change there, which ticks off all the Lady Vols fans, or some of the Lady Vol fans that want to change. Or, yeah, we're making a change, which will tick off a lot of the long-timers who are saying, but she's a Vol. I think the best thing for Holly Warlick would be if it's Philip Fulmer. If it's Philip Fulmer, I think it's good for Holly Warlick. If it's Philip Fulmer, I think it's bad for Butch Jones.
I just think why would it be bad for Butch?
Because Philip Fulmer coached college football. He coached UT football, and also we'll get into this more when he is named athletic director. But since he left, has anyone ever heard him take any responsibility for the decline in the program? I have not. I've heard that last recruiting class, well, kids lie to you. They tell you they're coming and they don't. And then since then, all I've heard was, well, they didn't have Joe Johnson and Doug Dickey, didn't have the support I needed. I've never heard him say, yeah, it fell off on my watch. Maybe he has. I've never read that, never seen that, never heard that. And if that's your case, that would suggest to me that he feels like he knew what he was doing, shouldn't have been pushed out. So he's going to look at it and say, Butch, I could be doing so much better with this. Just my take, could be wrong. He could be great for Butch Jones because he knows what support you need.
Right.
I would feel better about it if he said, you know what, recruiting was too up and down those last few years with me. But I never heard that.
But does Butch have the personality to allow him to take that advice from Fulmer? You know, if Fulmer's giving him the advice about, hey, here's the piece that you need, I want you to be successful, does Butch have the personality to say, you know what, you're right, Coach, I'm going to listen to you?
Well, he actually he has
so.
shown that this year. I mean, he has said, you know, I had a talk with Philip Fulmer, and Philip Fulmer told me these are passionate fans, and I have to understand this. Now, the temperament with the fan base and them being displeased is hard for Butch to deal with. But from what I've sensed talking with Philip and talking with Butch, there's a lot of mutual respect there. Now, that said, John, you're right. I don't think that means that not winning the SEC East will guarantee Butch Jones another year if Philip Fulmer's the AD, but there's a lot of other principles involved here too.
And a lot of other sports
Where's
involved
Manning
here.
at?
Do they want Cutcliffe back? I mean, we can go a whole different directions.
That's
That's
as
the
soon as
elephant
his
in the
name
room,
popped
right?
up on the athletic director, I thought, okay, so what happens? Is he the next interim? John Adams wrote that this week. Is he the interim if Butch gets gone in the middle of the season? Who's the next head coach? Does Fulmer appoint himself? Does Fulmer hire David
But
Cutcliffe?
Butch has done a
Does
good
Fulmer
job.
try and
I
go
just
get
can't
Peyton
imagine.
Manning?
I just can't imagine that quickly.
You know, and I agree with you. Butch has done a good job, but what Butch didn't do this year was give himself a cushion. If he wins the SEC East,
You said
if
that
he
going
goes,
into the
if he goes 9-3 and goes to SEC championship game, he's got a cushion to have what would have been a down year under the former tenure, except for the last few years, but would be an up year for what's happened post-Fulmer. I mean, once again, the guy's gone 9-4 2 years in a
Yeah.
row, a lot better than it's been.
That's right.
But I don't think it was good enough to give him a cushion that would basically make him, bulletproof.
Clearly,
this
because
year.
you've got a loud anti-Butch faction. I mean, you've got a group that they openly work against him.
Yeah.
I will sit here and try and get you fired. I will sit here with my phone and I will listen to everything you say. And then I'll retweet it and we'll make jokes out of it. I mean, you got radio
Well,
shows.
it's always been in Tennessee, though, isn't it?
No,
how
I think
far
it's
back
gotten
do we go?
worse.
It was
No,
like that
because
with
I think
Fulmer.
social media has taken it to another degree.
Ratcheted
And
it.
Tennessee tweets. They call themselves #Vol Twitter for a reason. They take pride in being the kings and of volume on Twitter. And you got radio shows in this town that every day it's just let's do the Butch Jones 3-hour kick in the pants show every single day. Which, if you watch our show, there are days we kick him in the pants. There are also days we pat him on the back. It's called being honest, having integrity.
And to Bob's point, you've had a chance to get that cushion the past 2 seasons. I mean, you actually had a chance 2 years ago, and I understand that. But the fact that Florida was the team that did do it has made it that much worse.
I think the bigger issue is this year
Oh, I-
because 2 years
I
ago,
agree.
there's
I
a little
agree.
revisionist history in the whole. Well, he should have won it 2 years ago. No one said that. He wasn't predicted to win it 2 years ago. It's the Rick Barnes thing this year. That it's
I agree with
two
that.
standards. But anyway, all right. So I think whoever comes in there is going to have to answer something about the Lady Vols situation, probably right off the bat. And I'm not talking about the name. Let's say they come in, make the name change, everybody's happy. They're going to have to answer the Serrano and Holly Warlick question. All right. I think one is on a lot more solid footing, solid ground than the other, Holly Warlick. So once you get past that, then you get into next football season. And that's when it becomes, if this is David Blackburn, does he sit back and say, I want my own guy? Or does he say, I know Butch Jones a little bit, I'm going to give him some rope here. He's done this or that. If it's Philip Fulmer, does he come in and say, well, I know what support he needs? Or, I'd be doing better than this. I'll say this, I know for a fact, because I heard it from a bunch of people in the room, Appy State game, first game of the year, Tennessee guy gets blocked clean off the field. Philip Fulmer gets mad, walks out of the booth, out of the box. If I'm Butch Jones, I don't know if that tells me I want him as my athletic director.
Right.
If first game of the year you see something that disgusts you so much, you get up and leave.
But that was before Rock Gullickson.
Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Okay, so are we agreeing in the time frame here, though?
But Serrano, I think, is the decision is going to work itself out either way. If Tennessee does not make the SEC tournament, then that deal is pretty much over with by its, on its own
And
merit.
see, and here's the thing, though, baseball. I mean, that's a minor player. in
Yes.
Tennessee.
But it's
a
the first
decision
thing
you
to
got to
do.
make, but it's also a minor player.
But
To some people.
the word
Other
right here
people who
is-
want to be negative,
Well,
it's a
yeah.
major player because we can point to, well, we didn't win in golf this year. Shows we're not committed to excellence.
The word right here says biggest. Tennessee, University of Tennessee, after that is always going to be football.
Football.
So you can
Exactly.
get Lady Vols,
Exactly.
you can get baseball, you can get all this other stuff. But if you don't get football right, none of it else matters.
But here's the thing: whoever the next guy is, I pity him. You're dead. You take this job, you're doomed. That's period.
not if it's Peyton.
Doomed.
No, even if it would be Peyton.
Ask Johnny Majors how long it takes to go from a hero to hated.
And
Yep.
loved.
Until Fulmer comes back and then booted again, excommunicated again, barred at the door. Yeah, I don't think Philip Fulmer was a conquering hero. He played at UT, won a championship at UT, had two losing seasons in 4 years, and had a drop off and was gone. So if Peyton came here and hired the wrong football coach, the part of that, part of the marble on his statue would start to crack. But I do think whoever takes over is in a rough spot, because whatever that decision you start making on football, football is bigger than anything else. If you're winning at football, it covers everything else. Well, you've been winning at football. You've got a guy who turned it around, all right? You're not winning championships, though. So it's not just good enough to win at football. you better win championships in football, and probably on a regular basis, which no one in the league does except for Alabama.
I was going to say, then once you win a championship, you better keep winning championships till you get fired.
Well,
You can't.
But I think this is why it's a hard
That's
decision.
why the AD's doomed.
This is why it's a hard decision
But he'd
because
be rich and doomed.
because Butch has gotten the program better every year.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It'd be different if he was
Not
if
this
he
year.
kept losing.
9-4.
Right, but he's moved the program in the right direction. That's what makes it a hard decision.
Yeah.
Is because as a football guy, as a sports guy, we've talked about it a bunch of times. Who else are you going to get? Who are you going to go hire?
Go hire Derek
And
Dooley.
so if you
John
can't-
Gruden, Peyton Manning.
and that people, I already turned that stuff off. And people are ridiculous that are thinking that stuff.
Coming, all we got to do is spend money. I've had so many people tell me, I'll say they did try and spend money. They tried to get Will Muschamp. He told you no, and the next year he went to Florida. Charlie Strong, you tried to spend money. He told you no, and then he went to Texas the next
And a
year.
great example of if you get him, now what?
Yeah.
Because look what Charlie Strong's
Come on,
doing.
everybody
You know,
wondered, how
it's-
come we couldn't get Kevin Sumlin? How come we couldn't get Brian Kelly? Yeah. How's that looking now?
Exactly.
But I do think the idea that football will cover it all, you better hire somebody that's damn good at football to cover it all. I just think the next, whoever the AD is, it's just ADs aren't popular anyway. Doug Dickey's the best AD they've had over there probably ever, and also the most disliked. Well, Hamilton, and maybe Dave Hart, but but Dickey was extremely disliked for being a cold fish while he was over there, and yet they practically won in everything while he was there.
How about separating the athletic departments again? What do you think about that?
Oh,
Going back
yeah,
to the
let's
women's
start that
athletic
one again.
department and then- it
Oh,
worked
next
pre- it
week's
worked
overtime.
It worked pretty well for a long time. Joan Cronin did a
Somewhere
great
Joan
job.
Cronin just perked up. She liked that.
I'm just
I
saying,
don't think
it worked
that's going to
pretty
happen.
well. Made it a priority.
Yeah, most schools aren't doing that. Maybe most schools go back at the other direction at some point. Maybe Tennessee can be one of the 2 schools in the Power 5 conferences to hire an ex-football coach, and he'll come back in and make them one of 2 schools in the nation with women's and men's departments.
Well, you know what happens then? Everybody gets happy. You hug Todd Helton.
Then the hugging starts. Well, just Chuck. He's handsy. All right. Thank you very much to all these guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Appreciate you attempting to go out and see our sponsors, and for seeing, not just attempting, but going and seeing our sponsors. And for those of you that just can't make it, we do appreciate you attempting to see our sponsors. We will see you next Sunday, 11 o'clock on WATE. Thank you very much.